So as Satya, you said that, yeah, you have seen the recording. Just an overview I want to get from you, that's it. So what do you think Satya is ServiceNow about? If you can help Zakia with that.
I mean, for me, I think the service now is it's like more like a defined processes. Like some of the it is like some of the process it's a highly specialized process. Like we can automate it. Like that is like ticketing and all that. It's like so you don't need to. It's more of a configuration than like to use it in that scenarios of ticketing. So.
Correct. Can I say?
What is
Sorry.
it? Come again?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Complete what you were saying.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if, see, my background is in Pega, so from that point of view, I'm speaking. So service is now like, it's like highly specialized in certain kind of tasks, like, it's very good at that and, and easier to implement and faster, and like, to go to production kind of a thing. That's why I think I believe it's becoming popular because of that.
Okay, so as you said, Zakia, what ServiceNow is ServiceNow actually is a ticketing tool. Okay, so when I say ticketing tool, what does it look like? Surely certain tickets are going to get created. To give you a scenario in which you will be creating ticket, one use case will be, let's say guys, all of us, we are working for a company, and maybe today one of us, we are facing certain XYZ issue. A very simple example, let's say I have the company laptop, and today the laptop doesn't boot up, it is not starting. What I need to do? In that case, I need to go ahead and report an issue. But when my company's laptop is not working as desired, I cannot go. Let's say, for example, if it is a Dell laptop or Apple, whatever, I cannot go directly to Apple to rectify it. Because it's corporate laptop, because it has your organization details. In such case, what it is advised? It is always advised that better you create a ticket with ServiceNow. Via ServiceNow, you create the ticket. And then what will happen when you create the ticket? Then within the company, your IT help desk, your support desk, they will fix the issue for you, right? Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, it does.
Always remember the scope of what? The scope of your ServiceNow is to provide a platform through which employees within the company, they can interact with each other on the technical upfront for the technical use cases. Okay, so that's the vision of ServiceNow. Now, in the last session, actually, we had started with these overviews. So I would say, yeah, both of you have a look into the recording and let us know if you have questions or concerns. Suma and Kranti, I'll need your help in remembering which slide we covered. Did we cover ITIM?
Nope, we didn't.
So where were we? SAS, I think we did, right?
Yes, we covered this. History we covered.
So then I'll start from here. I'll pick it up this one.
For sure.
Okay. So if you see over here, guys, what in this slide we are talking about, we are saying that ServiceNow was found way back in 2003 by Fred Luddy. This guy was initially working for Pregrine and Remedy. And as you know, Remedy is also having the similar concept, right? So from there, the concept of ServiceNow came in his thought and he started building the product. That's what that is about. Now, the next thing. The next thing which we need to understand in this one is we are saying it is based on ITIL standard, the second point. So then surely, guys, we need to understand what does it mean. So what does it look like? Before going to the detail of it, I'll just mention one more point that the headquarters of ServiceNow is in Santa Clara, California. So now let's go back to what is ITIL. Let's see it here. So what we are saying over here in this case is we are saying over here in this particular one up that ITIL stands for Information Technology Infrastructure Library. But what's that? Anyone knows ITIL, guys?
Yeah, I've cleared foundation ITIL before, Saloni.
Okay, great. So yeah, if you can give them an overview, I'll pick it up from there then.
Okay, so ITIL standards basically talks about how we provide value to the business. Like we provide the service and also over and above how we co-create value to it. And with that, like how do we deal with the problem management or incidents, service desk, and all those different practices and management within it. Maybe I'm not good in explaining.
No, that's fine. So what happens over here is, so as you said, actually, if I make it more simpler, I would say, guys, that ITIL is a process. If any product you are building based on ITIL as a concept, ITIL never talks about how your product should be on the technical upfront. Rather, it gives you a vision how you can improve the product from the process side. So let me give you an overview. Like if I talk about ServiceNow, when ServiceNow was built, it was based on ITIL framework. So now when I say that statement that, okay, it was based on ITIL framework, what does it mean? Let's see a overview over here. So ITIL has its own concept. And as Suma said, we have ITIL foundations, different level of exams in the ITIL. I have also done the foundation. The other one is expertise or something, right, Suma? So
yes, Saloni, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the benefit of going through the ITIL, guys, and obviously every corporate company do organize ITIL trainings and all very frequently. I would say opt for it if you get a chance to, because as I said, ServiceNow's baseline on the process side is ITIL. So if you understand ITIL, yeah, you will have an overview on a process orientation. You will be able to relate to the tool better. Technical side, surely we will be covering for you. But yeah, on the process side, it will surely help you. So to give you an overview how ITIL or what all vision ITIL has. So actually, guys, I would say after today's session, go to Google and read a bit about ITIL life cycle. You will notice in that case that ITIL has got different phases. So let's say I decided, okay, maybe just a simple example. Let's forget about service now. Suppose I say, okay, let's build a library management tool. And I want to use ITIL as my framework. So if you go through the ITIL life cycle, ITIL says, okay, don't start the build right away. Rather, first, you visualize what you want and do the visualization through different phases. For example, first you have to analyze the requirement. Then you should do the build. Then you should do the test around it. Then finally the customer validation or whatever. And ITIL also says, okay, if you're delivering, if you're building a product, always think about continuous improvement plan of the product. What does that mean? It means if I'm building a product, I should continuously think about how I can improve the product. And ServiceNow, guys, takes this point very seriously. ServiceNow as a tool, as a company, they get new features for the customer in every new release, in every new version. So when I say that, okay, in every new version, it's getting new features, the customer will be more attracted to the product, right? So what ServiceNow does, it collects information from its customers to understand, okay, what all new features they would love to have in the product. What are enhancements the customers are doing in the product. Based on those features, ServiceNow works toward fixing those features, getting new functionalities and whatnot. So that's what the vision of ServiceNow is, and that's why ServiceNow as a tool is gaining or getting the popularity the way it is. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
So Saloni, Satya, so this application of the service now can be applied to any scenarios or just for ticketing alone? Like
I didn't get you. Which
any
application?
customer facing issues, can it record? I mean, like, or where else is it applying this concept?
Okay, you're talking about ticketing tool concept.
Yeah.
No, the
So,
vision
I
of
mean, the example you gave was more of IT related. Is it IT related or it can be applied to anything else?
I'll talk about it. So actually, this answer of yours is there in the last recording, but again, for us to see it or to understand better is, the vision of ServiceNow is to only automate, guys, the in-house employee interaction. When I say in-house employee, it also focuses around IT interactions, HR interaction, plus your finance. So every scope, what you can think about from the organization in-house purpose, yeah, it does exist. But anything outside that scope is not available.
So
It is not a customer-facing product. Just one thing.
Okay.
It is not a customer-facing product. A company will use the tool for maintaining, for having the data of in-house employees. How do they interact? What do they interact on? What all different application level they have to interact? Everything can be done in the tool, but not the customer level.
Okay. So it has a way to get the data, or it only data has to be entered, or is it okay, it has the ability to look up data somewhere, some other sources of data and get it? For
Which kind of data is it?
any kind of data, for example, HR data, finance data. You said anywhere it can be.
It does
So
have.
it has that. Okay.
Yeah. As I said, like in-house employee, let's say, suppose it's an onboarding request for employee, or maybe I'm offboarding a certain employee. So all those actions can also be performed via ServiceNow.
Okay.
Any other question, anyone?
We're good.
So now the next thing which we need to understand in here is what is, when I say, as I said, like one phase of ITIL is, okay, so obviously continuous improvement plan. But now in the next slide, I want to talk a bit about how does ITIL help, or why do companies move toward ITIL? What is the major reason for that? So again, for that, the example which I was taking, that library management tool, I'll go back to that. So let's see a scenario here. So let's say, guys, I'm building a library management tool, and obviously, as you know, in the market, thousands of library management tool already exist, right? So ITIL says, okay, whenever you are building a product, whatever that product may be doing, but you must think about how you can get your customer satisfaction, how you can improve that. So for example, what ServiceNow thought different from the other tool at that particular time was the example which I was giving you guys, which is all the prior ticketing tools. I'm going inside the tool, guys. I'm just using the notepad here kind of thing. So all the prior tools like your Remedy, your HPSM, your IBM products like Tivoli and Maximo, all these were being delivered as a platform as a service, whereas when ServiceNow came in, it was being delivered as a software as a service. So as I said in the last session, in this case, everything the customer company will own up. The database, the server, the front end, everything. But in this case, the benefit will be the customer company will only have to worry about the front end look and feel UI changes. That's it. The database and server of the product, like in this case, ServiceNow, will not be in scope of customer company. The database and server will always be owned and maintained by your ServiceNow only. So when I say so, okay, how does it benefit us? So when I say so, then the benefit there is obviously that if DB and server overhead ServiceNow does, I can put it here. DB server will be owned by ServiceNow. So now your company on the maintenance side has to spend less in this case. Because DB as well as server developers, they don't need to hire.
What about data hookups? Like, if you put, for example, data will be in the customer side, all the customer lookup data. Any lookup of data will not be in ServiceNow. So they have to provide the gateways to get the data.
You mean from ServiceNow, how the data will get pulled up?
Yeah, from
We will see
customer
that.
to ServiceNow, the reverse.
So customer will anyway come inside ServiceNow to feed in the data, or through the integration, they'll push the data in ServiceNow.
Okay.
One of those. Okay. So as you can see, guys, and I hope it does make sense to you, Zakia. So over here, Zakia, what I'm trying to say is that ServiceNow says, I'll decrease the overhead on customer. I'll take care of these two aspects. But all prior tools were saying, no, to customer, we will give more security. The customer themselves, they need to maintain every aspect of the product. The tool owner will not be responsible for any of it. Does that make sense to you, Zakia?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, perfect. Now, the next thing, guys. The next thing over here in this case, which we need to understand in this one is, here it is. So first thing, as I told you, that the customer satisfaction will be better because overhead on the customer company is decreasing. Now what next? The next benefit of using ITIL is like, ITIL even gives you a vision that, okay, if you are building product, also think about the maintenance of it. Like, again, I'll take that library management. Let's say I build a product. And in that library management tool, I'm saying, okay, I'll provide even the database. The customers are happy and all those stuff. But am I taking the backup of that database? What if they were storing the data in the database? And just an example, let's say it was located in London somewhere. And maybe today, because of any natural calamity or anything, we lose that data. The server crashes. So in that case, the question becomes, do we have a backup to restore our data, or is it like the data is completely lost? Obviously, if the organization loses the entire data, surely it's a very negative flag there, right? So that's why coming to ServiceNow, what ServiceNow has picked up from ITIL is ServiceNow takes 6 different backup of its production database. Production means the actual environment where employees raise their ticket. Of that environment, ServiceNow takes 6 different backup. Which means obviously if the server crashes at location A, you still have the backup at location B, and likewise at multiple different locations, right? Because of which what will happen, because of which you will never have, or you will have never or minimal downtime. Can I say that? Because of that, the availability of the service will improve. Now the next step. The next thing in here is that the rework is reduced. How does that apply? So as part of the product development itself, what ServiceNow does is, before releasing the product, it goes through different testing phases, right? Like after development, first testers tested, then the customer tested. So the risk of having any issue is minimal, right? Because of which the time to the market gets reduced and rework is lesser there. So ITIL major takeaways, which I would say for the time being you can take is ITIL says, as I said, that you should have your products continuous improvement plan, point 1. Point 2, ITIL says you must have different database backup. Point 3, it says, okay, go through the life cycle of ITIL as a product development. In that process, it is defined, okay, first you get the requirement, gather the requirement, then visualize it, and then only you start the build. So that is another point, that is another benefit there. Any question till here, anyone? Or is it making sense, or how is it going?
Good from my end, Saloni.
Great. Others?
Yeah, I'm good as well.
Great. Now the next thing.
So this ITIL concept used by ServiceNow, who else uses it? Like
I don't have
competitors?
any idea on that, but I know it is a point.
Is only them they use?
I don't
I
think
know
so. But
this
it is a
is a
process
similar
term.
concept used by other products, but I was just wondering.
I don't know.
Hmm.
So good or bad, my entire career is about ServiceNow. So that's that. Okay. Now let's talk about the features of ServiceNow. So in this slide, you can see I have given a shortcut Snow. It is nothing but ServiceNow only.
Yeah, not Snowflake. Yeah.
No. So let's talk about some of the functionalities of the product. The first point which we are putting it in here is what the first point we are saying over here is that it is very simple and consistent to use. So at any given point in time, if I show you the product, you just have to go to the website. How you have to log in and all in a minute anyway, I'll walk you through. But let's say if you have the product, you are looking for a specific application, like something called incident is there. What it is and all, surely I'll go into. So that's why I'm not going to very much in depth of it. But yeah, like searching or looking for an application, even if you are new, is easy because yeah, you type in the keyword, you get the related elements, and then you can work on it further. So that's that. So now what I wanted to mention was, before I go further in those features, is how to get your own ServiceNow URL. Because yeah, in the training, obviously we will at least I feel that way, that for you to get comfortable, with the product, you need to try some assignments, try some, practice work on your own, because it makes you more confident, right? So what ServiceNow has done, guys, for easy learning and practice, ServiceNow provides free of cost demo URLs. Which means obviously you have to request for that so that you have your own URL and you can do your practice work when required. This is the website. I'll put it in the Zoom chat, guys. You can pick it up from there. So I want everyone to, maybe if you guys can do it now or whatever, I want everyone to create your account into this website. Yep. So it's there in the Zoom chat. Please click on it and you have to register yourself there. Once you do the registration, then it will give you an option called start building. You have to click on that to get a URL like mine. Like for example, if I click on start building right now, see what it does. You see it is loading that demo URL for me. So that's that. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is maybe take a minute, guys. Everyone go ahead and register yourself in this website.
Saloni, I have a question. So I did try to log in and it is asking me, do you code yes or no?
Say yes over there so that you get the developer profile.
Developer, okay.
Yeah.
And then what best describes your job roles? Is it okay to pick as developer?
Yeah, pick up developer.
Okay, and I already agreed, finish setup. Okay.
Everyone else, can you try that, guys?
Yeah.
Zakia, will you be able to do? Because I think you are logged in via phone, right? Can you try that in your laptop? Zakia, are you there?
Sorry, I was trying to find the tab. Yeah, I just switched to laptop, so I'm doing it right now.
Sure. Take your time, guys.
Yeah, I've created it.
So, Ikranti?
I've logged into the instance.
Okay, sure.
So, in the meantime, Saloni, ServiceNow releases versions based on the name, place names or something like that every year.
Yes, cities and states name. Yeah.
It's actually city's name, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Cities, yeah. I searched about that, Kranti, like why that's happening. It's just for branding, so nothing much.
I mean, how do they keep track, like, which is the current version, right? So
they are going alphabetically on that. So the current one is with V, Vancouver. And if you'll see every version of it, they're following city name. So before V, U is there. So U was Utah. Before that, T was there. And then S and all those stuff. So that's how they are making sure that you remember the names easily. It's alphabetical order, but yeah, everything is different city names.
So basically, they release like 1 or 2 versions every year, right?
Yeah. Every year, one version they are releasing in the month of May. Yeah.
Okay. You said once we finish signing in, what we do next?
Let me know once you have your instance, because I want everyone to be, good with that.
Okay. I believe I had it before, so I just had to sign in.
Okay, just have a look. Once you guys are good, then I can proceed further.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in the start.
Okay, great. You got your start building and all those stuff. Just click on it.
Yeah.
Make sure you are able
Yeah.
to. So I think Suma, you are done. Satya, you are done. Kranti, all good?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we will wait for a minute for the Zakia and then we will start. So just let's wait for a minute.
How long does it take to build it? I just clicked on it.
Maybe a minute or so because it has to check what will development instances are available and stuff like that. Zakia, are we good? Did you got chance?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean it's saying hi creator, so I believe it's an engine studio. That's where I am.
Okay. So yeah, just go through it and let us know if you are having any questions, okay?
Go through it as in start
Just do the,
building.
you got till that? As in, did you got your profile
Yeah.
created first?
Rack is able to see the home screen, like app engine studio. Is that correct? I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm already at the app. I already have my dev information and I'm already at app.
Okay, great. Then I think you're good. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So then let's proceed further. So the next thing which I wanted to talk about was when you're going in here, you have your instance like the one which I have. There is a star mark in these URLs, which is to keep them active, you must log in once in a day. So let's say if I don't log in a day, what will happen? Yeah, it will still be okay because you are not available for a day or whatever. But if you don't log in continuously for a week, 7 days, if you don't log in, then you will use this URL, which means if you will see, guys, at this particular point in time, your URL, your demo URL number will be totally different than mine. For example, if I show you, mine is this number, right? 184,991. But yours will be different than mine, so on and so forth. So always make sure that to keep it active, as in even if you're not working, even if I just refresh and press enter, even that keeps my session active. So if you have built something in your demo which you want to refer at a later stage, you want to keep it handy. So yeah, just refresh. That's it you need to do to keep it with you. Okay, so that's that. Now the next step. The next thing in here which we need to understand is flexibility of the tool as well as easy to integration of the tool, these two. So the flexibility of the product, how it interacts with other products, plus how easy it is to integrate, we will cover it at a much later stage of our course, like after admin and development. The last section will be integration, where I'll be briefing you guys on the same. So surely we will be talking about these two, but at a later stage, as I said. Okay. So now, when I say integration, first thing first, what comes to your mind is, what is the integration? Can anyone of you help me with that? I think simple.
Connecting with other system of records to retrieve data or send data.
Right, so
Integration
what,
with, sorry, please go ahead.
no, please go ahead.
Integration, yeah, connecting two applications or through APIs.
Correct. So what happens if I give you a very simple example, guys, which I always prefer is, let's say maybe we are working in a ABC company where you would have noticed obviously that you are setting up your user availability. Like let's say in my company, we have a timesheet app where we log in our work hours. So the days I'm not working, I put 00 over there. And based on that, my salary gets calculated. Right? So means now I'm filling in my availability in the timesheet. And obviously the salary is getting calculated in a separate portal, separate website. So when this kind of situation happens, what is going to do? In that case, do you agree that two applications, they are talking to each other, right? Your timesheet app is pushing the data to the financial portal or whatever for it to do the salary calculation. So in this case, when the two applications, they have to talk to each other, send or fetch the data, how is it that happening? That concept is called as your integration. That's what that is about. So integration is two products talking to each other. ServiceNow, like in our case, we will stick to ServiceNow as one of the parties. So how ServiceNow will talk, maybe let's say anything, let's say for example, from the AD side, Active Directory, how will it pull the data? Let's say to the Jira, it has to push the data. How will that happen? So such kind of connection is what we will be seeing in your integration classes. The last benefit which we are saying is it is speed time to production. The time to the market is less, time to production is less, because in the previous slide, as I mentioned, that your rework is less. Why is the rework less? The rework is less because earlier only we are thinking about what? Because earlier only we are thinking about that how or what different visualization we should have, different testings are happening before the things are going live. So that's that. Now, the next thing. This slide is very important, guys, because as you can see over here in this one, we are talking about architecture of the product. Let's try to understand that. So if you see over here in this case, what you need to understand is, if you see on the top layer of the architecture, I'm putting UI, that is the user interface, right? So what does that look like? Obviously, this stands for nothing, but if I'm an end user, how will I communicate with the product, right?
Yes.
So like any other product, even the end user access, the customer access on ServiceNow also will be limited only to this layer. So that's what that is. The next thing are these two. So these two are actually the integration protocols. In these two, what we are going to do is we will be using these two terminologies when we will make ServiceNow talk to some other product. Okay, so we will see that later, but yeah, we need to understand that these two will be used by whom.
So what are the other protocols? I mean, like
We will see that.
SQL and all that.
We will see that. We will go into that. I don't want to overwhelm others.
Okay.
We will cover that over. So what I want to mention over here is, guys, that these two layers will be used by the third parties, the vendors and all. This layer, the UI layer, will be used by the end user, the customers. Means overall, I'm saying that the entry point access will be there to the end users or the vendors. Right, obviously, in a real time also, for any product, these are the two set of people who are going to use the product.
So
Now, the next
then
step.
I have a question before we move to the next slide.
Yeah.
So UI is the user interface, like, you know, what we see, customers see, and if they want to do any changes, they will do it at the UI portion of it. When it comes to the SOAP and the other protocols, like, let's suppose if we need to do any integration between third-party application. So do we need again, like, are we depending on the professional support from the ServiceNow team? Like, let's take if I don't have expertise at my organization. So are we looking into hiring or consulting, get that consulting support from ServiceNow? Is that how it works?
No. So the integration layer also, as a developer, let's say if I'm the developer,
Okay.
I'm responsible.
Okay. Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you.
No. The next layer over here is the scripting layer. In the scripting layer, guys, is what we as a developer will be learning, we will be doing. So the scripting layer is what will be used by us, will be what we will be learning in the scripting layer is all about this class, right? The training will be how or what way do we write the syntax, how does it work, what do we do? So that's what that is. So now what happens, guys, for easy learning and training, what ServiceNow has done is ServiceNow has created its own scripting syntaxes. Okay. So when I say it has created its own scripting syntax, and that's why we need the training then, right? To learn those syntaxes over here. So what we need to understand over here in this case is that we need to understand in this one that at any given point in time, ServiceNow's syntaxes in the scripting, whatever syntaxes we learn. In this video, sorry, you were saying something? Okay. It is very much similar like your JavaScript. You will see so many syntaxes derived from JavaScript. But again, on top of it, it has got its own, things here and there. So that's that.
Do they have script generator also, or just you have to write it yourself?
You have to write it.
Okay.
So if you say you see the same script as Java, so ServiceNow uses JavaScript?
It has similarity with that. Like the baseline of ServiceNow scripting syntaxes are derived from JavaScript, but not exactly.
Okay.
So if you know JavaScript, yeah, you will be able to relate better. If you're not from scripting side, everything you will have to learn as a ServiceNow scripting. That's what I'm trying to say. Yep.
Even for HTML also is there, like a screen build HTML? What do you use?
HTML and all is there on the UI development of the product. Like let's say for the product side, if I have to do some look and feel kind of changes, that's where you do use HTML, CSS, and all this stuff.
Okay, that is also again scripting, or is it you can just, is it a form based tool, like you don't change it?
I didn't get you. As in?
I'm a form based, like, you just, I mean, do you need to write a script to change your UI? I mean, user interface, or is it some kind of a, front end tool, like where you go and design, basically you add a field or
No, you
change
will
the
have
attribute? Huh?
you have to write scripting there. So out of the box, anyway, ServiceNow has built all the UIs, right? But let's say for your customer in specific, if you want to make some change, that's where you will make use of this one.
Suppose there are 5 fields, I want to add another 2 more fields. So I need to write the script.
That will be done different way. I'll talk about that. We will see that. So there
Okay.
you are not using HTML. There is something called features and all. We will see that. So that's what you will be doing.
So scripting is basically your application layer, right? So where you configure all whatever actions you need and all that stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, in scripting, what you're doing is like, if I give you an example, just a simple one, guys, I'm not going to anything technical right now. Let's say my customer comes to me and says, okay, or if for X field is filled, then the Y field, I want to make it mandatory. I'm taking a very simple example. And this behavior or this relation between X and Y is not existing out of the box, then as a developer, you are going to build this relation.
Okay. Yeah, so basically where we write our business rules or any UI actions and all that stuff will be done.
We will talk about that, Karthik. I'm not going to that right now because, as I said, like, let's keep it as simple so that everyone is on the same page. But all these answers, surely we will be covering in the course.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, guys, let's proceed further. The next thing in here, which I want to talk about, as I said, is the scripting layer where we are writing ServiceNow scripting. We are writing ServiceNow scripting in this layer, but what does a database understand? So let's say I wrote certain script to fetch the data from this database. Which scripting language does a database understand?
Is it SQL?
SQL, correct you are. Any database only understands SQL command. Now, over here in this case, what happens is, we are saying that we will write ServiceNow syntax here. Database says, no, I only know SQL. I'm not understanding what ServiceNow syntaxes are written here, which means now for the database to process your request, ServiceNow syntax needs to get converted to what ServiceNow syntax is, need to get converted into the SQL command. That conversion happens in the DB layer. Always remember that, guys. I'll repeat. The conversion of ServiceNow scripting into SQL command for the database to understand will happen in this DB layer.
So, okay, so let me get this straight. When we're in the scripting, we write the kind of scripting that looks like Java, and then we push it to database. Is there a table that will check the scripting that is coming from scripting?
So you mean the validation of the script?
Yeah, so how would the validation take place? Is there like a mapper?
In this series of videos, we're working.
I'm getting some background from your end, so I'm not relating better.
So, okay, let me try this again. So when we get to scripting, we'll write the scripting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once we get to the DB, is there a table? So how will those two scripting be translated to SQL?
Okay, got it. So you agree you are going to learn this, right? As I said, as part of this this training, we will be covering this layer for you. Now, how the conversion happens to the SQL command is not in your scope. So as a developer, your access is only limited till this layer. The last two layer, DB layer, which is the conversion layer, plus the actual database, these are not exposed to us as a developer. We cannot see that conversion. How does that happen? You just write your code, you are done with. You just write your ServiceNow syntaxes. The conversion is never in your scope. And if, let's say, for example, you will say, okay, I wrote the code, conversion doesn't happen, then what? Then you just have to raise a ticket with ServiceNow.
All right. So how do you validate your code is right that can be able to be converted? Don't you supposed to know what are
That conversion you
the
don't need.
requirements?
Conversion you don't need to do. You
Okay.
don't need. Yeah, so that's that. So always remember, as a developer, guys, your responsibility will be the top layer, working on or configuring the UI if required, working on configuring the protocols, the integration terminologies if required, plus doing the scripting. You are never going to do the last two layers. So these two are never in your scope. So if it doesn't do what it has to do, you just have to create a ticket. That's it. Anyone, any query till here?
So, where do we make any changes to the workflows?
Where do we do what? Sorry.
Make the changes for to the workflows or the processes.
In the scripting layer, that will be part of scripting only.
That is also okay. Yeah, I'm good.
So you say if the scripting doesn't work, we create a ticket. Who are we creating a ticket to? ServiceNow?
No, the conversion if it doesn't work. Scripting you are only doing. If you, as you said that, let's say my code didn't get converted to SQL, then you will raise a ticket with ServiceNow. But scripting,
Okay, makes sense.
scripting you are responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Any other question?
Yeah. So you validated and you see your scripting is not working.
Huh?
Will we be getting an error for us to know it's not working?
We'll see that. We will talk about that. Because at this
Okay.
point in time, if I go very technical to answer your question, it will not make sense. So that's why I'm skipping that for the time being. But we will see that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So there is something called log features in the tool. There is something called debugging features in the tool. That's what you will use it for. We will see. Okay, guys. So if not any question, we'll catch up tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Hey,
Thank you,
so
Selena.
before we
Yep.
just one more question, right? So
Yep.
I see this content is from 2019. So is it updated, the latest one?
No, this is the basic architecture and all. So that has not changed, right? In the
Oh.
scripting, I am not be using this one.
Okay.
This is the architecture, like why ServiceNow was developed. So
Mhm.
that I'm talking about, right? All right. Scripting is not this one.
Okay.
And one question, Salary, what are the different roles of service now? Like a developer, I know. What else do you have? Like what
We
else?
have like any
What?
product. We have your business analyst role. We have your developers, your UI developers. In fact, it goes different than your because if you talk about this training, we are covering the ITSM part of it, right? If you see the curriculum, it is about that. So we have different other profiles like your CMDB, that is your ITOM developers, your UI developers. So today the scope of ServiceNow is very vast. What we are trying to cover here is the ITSM part of the two.
Okay.
But the scripting remains the same, guys, in every scope. So be it your ITOM or be it your, let's say in the UI also, when you are doing server side, your concepts, something called glide record and all, those remains the same. So that those are not going to change.
So do they have different frameworks or?
So within the tool only, for like, for
Mm.
example, for discovery, there's something called discovery. They have a different concepts and all, like Unix command and all those stuff they use. So that's what that is.
Selena, I have two questions.
Yeah.
So the first question is, the login you have asked us to create that instance, right? So what we need to do after that?
You will use
Like,
it.
is there anything?
And we will go into
Okay,
the
not anything to do. Okay.
or anything like that.
Okay, and the second question, sorry, I forgot. I'll ask tomorrow. I'll recall it. Yeah, I forgot.
For leave, guys. I have another session. We'll catch up tomorrow, and then
Sure.
we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.